Hi, welcome to Dido Speaks. Rolex is up for sale. Well, I saw this dream last night and I wondered, has no luxury group ever launched a bid for Rolex? And I'm sure that they have in the past because Rolex is an amazingly prized asset and we will figure out why. See, I'm sure the LVMH Group, Richemont, Kering Group, and many other brands which delve into luxury have had wet dreams about owning Rolex. Well, the thing is, the brand is such, the gravity is such that the consumers, the owners of the brand, etc., everybody gets pulled towards this monumental black hole-ish of a brand. We will figure out what the price for owning the company Rolex should be as we move forward in this video. However, look, I'm an investment banker. Selling and buying companies for our clients has been my business. And every time I think about Rolex, it leaves me perplexed because the company is an enigma. Every company or brand that you see has a price tag. Everything is up for sale, but at the right price. We'll figure out whether Rolex will be up for sale ever or not. Let's look at Rolex in numbers. Last year, Rolex did a revenue of roughly $8 to $9 billion. In the same period, the whole Swiss watch industry did a revenue of $24 billion roughly. Now that's amazing, isn't it? While there are so many brands trying to get a sliver of that amazing market, which in some years is growing slowly and in some years receding, Rolex maintains the leading position and by a mile. 33% roughly, right? 9 billions over 24 billions. That's a huge market share. Now, many of the brands are trying to catch up. For example, Omega from the Swatch Group, Cartier from the Richemont Group, and many more. But Rolex is ahead by a mile. The other thing is, they own another brand called Tudor, which is a sister brand. And Tudor also is a very, very respectable and substantial brand in the world of watches. Rolex is the king of the world of watches. And Rolex as a brand will always feature in the top 5 across segments, across industry. Rolex will be the number 1 brand globally if you were to look at only luxury. That, my friend, is the gravity of this brand. Now let's look at how did Rolex really become this kind of phenomenon.
What do you think?
Hans Wilsdorf, who was the founder of Rolex, was the number 1 marketer if you look very closely. He was very, very smart. He came up with these watches, kept innovating and launched a lot of novelties in the 1920s and 30s, and the brand continues to do that. But beginning with the 30s, Hans Wilsdorf started gifting these watches to royalties, the Queen of Egypt, the royalties in France, and the whole of Europe, right? And when these beautiful gifts go to royalties and they don these, you know what happens? The brand shoots through. The other amazing thing that happened with Rolex was Paul Newman was gifted a Daytona by his wife in the 1970s. And a couple of years back, the same Daytona was sold for $17 million. This is like a windfall that happened for Rolex, right? With a $17 million price tag the Rolex Daytona got at the auction, the brand value has just gone to a stratosphere. Rolex has also made sure that they never really take care of the demand. They keep a very tight control on the supply. As a result, they can always keep increasing prices and they never satiate the demand. People are always crying for Rolexes. Rolex is a marketing juggernaut. I say this all the time. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is, if ever, let's say a Louis Vuitton group or a Richemont group or a Kering group were to launch a bid for Rolex, what should the price tag be? Let's draw some comparisons. If you look at the LVMH group, the group trades at 15 times forward EBITDA, okay? It's 15 times forward EBITDA, EV/EBITDA multiple I'm talking about. A Rolex did $9 billion of revenue sometime last year. If I look at a 33% or a 30% EBITDA margin, and mind you, Rolex has to have the highest margin. It's not a listed company, so we cannot be very, very sure. But the fact is, Rolex is a highly automated company. Everything is done on machines. It's not like a Lange or Audemars Piguet or a Patek Philippe, where people, the artisans, are sitting and beveling the watches with hand, etc., etc. Most of the work that happens inside Rolex is done on machines. It's automated. So that doesn't mean the watches aren't great. The watches are absolutely mind-blowing. Looking at the valuation, so at 30% EBITDA margin, Rolex's EBITDA margin will translate to $2.7 billion. And if we apply the same multiple that the market is paying to the LVMH group, 15 times, the enterprise value for Rolex will come to $40.5 billion. However, that is not enough based on my understanding, because Rolex is the best quality asset across the luxury industry. And if somebody is buying the whole of Rolex, there will be a control premium. If I give a 20% control premium on the multiple that the market is giving to the LVMH group, it translates to 18 times. 18 times of $2.7 billion translates to $50 billion. Who is willing to pay $50 billion? Do you think that's a big price tag? To my understanding, not really. A Kering Group, LVMH, Richemont, all these guys can actually muster the courage to bring together $50 billion and buy Rolex. But the fact is, Rolex will never accept that price. First, they are actually a trust. What goes inside Rolex and the financials, nobody knows. It's a very tightly run company, very well run company, and the trust does everything. So that's one. Even if somebody were to actually be able to pitch to the trust that they want to buy it, the trust will always seek a price. $50 billion is not the price they will ever accept for the following reason. Based on my understanding and conversations with the dealers at Rolex, see, Rolex produces 1 million watches in a year. And I can bet if they produce 1 million, they're able to sell 1 million watches. But the reality is, Rolex can actually sell 5 million watches in a year. The demand is such. If there are 5 to 6 people who want a Rolex watch, only one gets it. So you can understand how the company really controls the supply. They actually want people to really badly desire Rolex watch, but not everybody should get it. They should have to wait. That's when the brand really goes through the stratosphere and they can keep pushing the prices up. So imagine if a brand that does $9 billion of revenue but has the capacity to actually do, let's say, 5 times $45 billion of revenue in a year, you are talking insane numbers. Which is why I'm saying a Rolex will never accept a $50 billion price tag. They will perhaps go for $100 billion or something north of it, because the market really wants Rolex watches. So that was my analysis into the numbers of Rolex, because the thing is, as I said, it's an enigma. Very few people understand, because it's run by trust as to what is going on, what kind of margins, etc. But we have a rough idea because we look at other luxury groups and companies which are listed companies, and we have a reference point. But the fact remains, Rolex is amazing, and if ever somebody gets to buy it, my guess is that it'll be one of these three luxury groups, probably the LVMH group. Let's see what happens in the future, but for the foreseeable future, in the next few years, I don't think Rolex exchanging hands, not going to anybody. Rolex will remain a trust and remain a citadel. Nobody knows what is going on inside, but what is coming out of that citadel, which is the watches, are just mind-blowing. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Deepak Tomar, Dido Speaks. Please like and share this video. Tell me how you liked it so that I can come up with interesting stories for you from the world of luxury. Thank you.